Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this lesson on data upload. It's the second of a pair of lessons looking at the question of data upload. The first was looking at the preparation for data upload, thinking about all the things that we had to keep in mind as we were preparing to migrate data into Sage CRM. And today we're going to be looking at the actual process of data upload. Now, this is all part of a series of lessons around data administration within Sage CRM. So we've got a whole series all related to the way in which a system administrator or to a certain extent an info manager can control the nature of data within Sage CRM. All the topics. There is a hierarchy of learning here, so they're all building up together, so they're related, and you'll see how these topics all fit together if you go through all of the lessons within the series. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at specifically the knowledge needed to understand how to carry out an upload of either company, person, or lead data. We're actually going to be looking just at two examples, the upload of lead data and then looking at a more interesting upload of company information. Interesting, I mean, it's got some aspects about it which illustrate some of the questions that we have to think about during preparation. And we have looked at the preparation of data. We are going to be performing the import today, but of course we need to have thought about the steps that were taken to get ready to this point. And any data that you have and you've gathered from different systems around the organization, you need to think about, well, where's it going to be put within Sage CRM? And that's really a product of some of the nature of the data in terms of its completeness, in terms of its accuracy, and whether or not you might really know what to do with it immediately in terms of process. So data can be destined to be held as a type of suspect information or actual true operational information within Sage CRM. And that lends itself into thinking about where you're going to be placing the data, whether you're going to be uploading it into a lead or whether you're going to be putting it into the company entity. And the company entity, of course, includes contact information, individuals working for that company, and then down into the idea of an individual unrelated to a company as well, which is very much for business to consumer models of working. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at an upload into the lead and then into the company table as well. So I have a data source, and that's always going to be our starting point. This data source happens to be for information that is really quite extensive information, looking at information all around the hospitality industry here. And if I start the process, and I have to think about the nature of the data that I've got, is that have I gone through and made sure that it's configured in a way that I'm not going to generate errors, but there's almost an inevitability as so you're first starting to do things. Will I generate an error as I upload? Will there be a problem? Will, in fact, I end up putting things into the wrong territory or into the wrong work group or team? In which case, you need to think about always making a backup of the database before you perform the upload. Now, I have. So this is a proper step that I've been going through in the course of today as I've been preparing for this lesson. So I've backed up my system and I'm going to go through the process of carrying out the data upload. Now, a data upload can only be carried out with a user with the correct rights, and that means broadly they're either going to be a system administrator, and I'm going to be using the admin logon for this, or it could be a user who is a type of user called an info manager with data admin permissions. So when we look at the setup of users and user administration and security, we will cover that in those lessons. But importantly, anyone who does the task must have permissions in their security profile to view, insert, and update all of the entities that the data is targeted towards. So you have to have view, insert, and update rights on the lead entity if you're trying to upload things into the lead. Now that's sort of makes sense. You can't upload records into a table that you don't have permissions to use. Here you can see I've logged on, and now I'm switching into the administration screens, and I'm going to click on data management. So here I am in administration, data management, and I'm now going to select data upload. And you're immediately presented, the first time you come into the screen, you're presented with the three options of company, individuals, or lead, and I'm going to choose lead and then continue. And now I'm in the process of really working with any existing saved upload processes that have been carried out within Sage CRM. Now, there are no existing examples here. We'll see one when we come into looking at the company upload, but here we can see that I need to click new to start to create a new upload process. This is the main screen, and you can see that this is where you would select a file for the upload, and that's what I'm going to do. And you can see here that I've actually got US and Canadian leads details. This is my hospitality leads. So I'm selected the CSV file that contains the lead data that I want, and I've also started to fill in some other information, or rather it's filled in some information automatically. Now, I am using a CSV file for my uploads, and that's the preferred type of information to carry out the upload. As you can see, it would have failed if I had tried to upload something that didn't have a header row, for example. And I've gone through and I've made sure each of the columns inside my CSV file, my comma delimited data source, comma separated values, are all showing here. The titles are all recognizably linked and easily linked to the name of the field inside Sage CRM. Whereas possible, you should ensure that all of the fields are properly named, related to the caption code or to the translation of the columns, and you should make sure that there are no blanks within the required fields. Now, that is such an easy check to make. Just make sure that there are no empty, null field values in any of the columns that are mandatory inside Sage CRM. You can see these are the entities in my slide, and I've got the required fields for each of the entities. So if you're uploading a lead, company name, first name, last name, and the description are the mandatory required fields. And if you can also see that we've got 4 the entity company, you need the company name, an address, and a person. So it's the minimum information that we need to define define and carry out the upload. Now, the file name is short. You don't have an extensive name for your file name, keeping it nice and short to less than 60 characters. And I'm not doing any, I'm not including here any dates, for example. So if I'd been uploading some personal information around a person, I might have a date of birth, or for a company, I might have a contract start date. If you're uploading dates, they must have a consistent format. That's much more of a challenge if you are trying to unite information from multiple sources to generate a larger spreadsheet that contains all of the information before you upload it. That's to do with the process of data enrichment that you've carried out within the preparation stage. Here I'm using a description, so it's one of the mandatory fields. This is going to be an informative description for my data upload. That's going to be used to identify this data upload within the user interface so I can understand what it's for. I've talked about the file date format has to be consistent all the way through. And then if it does discover any duplicates in the process, how do you want this to take place? So are you merging duplicate information with matching records, so completing information that might be there, or are you completely overwriting the matching information with records from your data upload file? So merge is perhaps the gentlest mechanism because it adds more detail where detail wasn't present. But going back onto the idea of the process of the upload, you've got the ability to set the number of preview rows that you would see as you start the process to give you a sense as to how the data will look within Sage CRM during the process. Now, another option that you see that is default ticked in here is make a group. I strongly advise you always to make a group when you carry out the data upload. And this is because it allows you to identify very clearly which records were created during your data upload, so that if there is a problem, you know that you can go back to that group and perhaps carry out a bulk action to correct some data. Or equally, you can then, because it's in a group, and then the nature of the group that it is it's called a static group, you can then use it for marketing purposes as well. So you can use it for mailing or whatever. So straight away, it's a very useful thing to do. The next thing to think about is really, and here you can see I've put in a description, is the records below this, which are to do with security. Now, every record within Sage CRM that is a principal entity record, so that's the company, the person, the lead, all of this and all of the data that is linked to them and surfaced through a view exists within a security matrix. Users belong to a security profile. They have a unique ID. They belong to a territory, and they are associated with those records. So if we're thinking about our lead upload, then we know that we have to assign the new record, or we can assign the records to either a new user, to a team, and put it into a particular territory. Now, this data can come from the spreadsheet or the CSV file that you're uploading yourself, and we will see that in the next example that I show you. If you don't specify it either here in the upload process or in the data itself as a matched column, then what happens is that the data is going to be uploaded into the home territory of the user performing the data upload. The most common problem is that you end up uploading data that suddenly no one can see. So if it's, for example, an info manager uploads data into their own home territory, none of their subordinates may be able to see it because they don't have the security rights to be able to access that data. So it's very important to think about who can see this information during upload. That's why the option to create a group during the data upload is very important in case the administrator needs to actually carry out a bulk operation and reassign something into a particular security territory, or to assign it into a particular team. So I'm assigning it to a team. So I'm choosing it to go into the marketing team, and of course I know what that value is, and I've edited that value inside my my CSV file. I wouldn't use this option. I'd leave it null if the information was coming from the data upload itself. But we'll see this more about that in the next item. But you can also see that I've chosen to go into a territory. In my case, I'm going to be choosing to go into the US and Canada. You can see that, and I also have the possibility of putting it into a marketing team if I wanted to. I'm not going to put it into a wave item. I don't have a particular marketing campaign that I want to use this static group for yet, so I'm going to just click save now. You can see that the file has been uploaded, and I can OK past that, and this is where I've ended up on a screen showing me all of the columns in the CSV upload file that have been immediately matched to the existing columns inside the database. Now, there are a couple in here where Sage CRM wasn't able to work that out, and I should have put more information into here. But interestingly, well, we'll see in a moment that there's also a couple of other problems associated with this that we'll fix. But let's see. I'm going to, I've just clicked on, in the bottom part of the screen, I've just clicked on the web column, and you can see here that what I'm going to do is I'm going to associate the web data to the lead website field. And once I've saved that, I can do the same for the phone number, and I'm going to link that into the phone number for the person as well, and then within the lead, and then choose save. Now it looks like everything is done, but if I try and click preview data upload now, you can see that I've got two problems. I've got, well, this isn't a problem, it is just a reminder. I have deduplication enabled in my system, and it's telling me that it's expecting me to express deduplication on the company name and person last name field. Those are the mandatory elements. I could put more rules on that. And interestingly, you can see that I've got a mismatched field. Zip code is not a phone number. Now, this has occurred because I'm uploading into the territory US and Canada. I'm the system administrator. My system administrator happens to work with UK English as their language, and so whereas it was expecting, because of the system administrator's language, postcode to be there, it's not recognized zip code that is within the CSV file, so it's not recognized and matched that. Now, that's easy enough to correct. I can just click this, and start to reassign it to where it should be, which is of course to the postcode, and then I can choose save. So now I can add the necessary deduplication. So I can click on the company name. Here I can then choose the rule. You've got the same rules here as for the deduplication elements, the same process. You don't use the fuzzy logic though on company names. This is just going to be either the exact or sounds like, or it's going to be the contains, and that's what I've just chosen, so contains. And once I've saved that, I can do the next field and do the same with the person last name and add a rule for that as well. And you can see there I've added the two deduplication elements. So I'm going to save this and preview the data upload. Now I can control, and you can see the 5 lines, 5 rows of the preview. This is giving me a sense of how the upload is going to work. Is this matched into the right fields that we were expecting? I think it is. And you'll notice here that I can either do this to run interactively, which means I sit here watching and waiting for any errors to occur, or I can run this as a batch, and I can run it as a batch in however many records that I want, bearing in mind that you shouldn't be running and importing more from a single CSV file than about 5,000 records. But I'll run this interactively. And before I do that, let's actually put a source onto this so I know all of these come from a data import. And so I'm going to carry out the import now. So it's uploaded into a temporary folder. And here we are, completed. And it's telling me that it has gone ahead and it's created 22 new leads for me. So that's really good. It's done this, and I can check that by clicking on the groups. You can see where the group, I can either click the name of the group, or I can go to all of the groups that I've got. So I've clicked on all of the groups, and now I can drill down into my group, and this is showing me where it has uploaded all of that information. Now it's within the group. I could then carry out, and you can see that I'm enabled to carry out some bulk tasks and operations if I wanted to. I could carry out merges straight away and start using this new information within inside Sage CRM. And I can tell as well that it's come into the system well as we wanted and expected. So where now? Well, we look there at the upload of a lead, and what I want to do is come back and start to have a look at the upload of a company and person details. I've taken a different approach here. Do you notice inside this spreadsheet that I've got several people working for the same company, and when you're uploading, you can make a decision about how you want to present the different contacts within a company. But the recommended approach is always to work on the basis that a new person should be on an individual row. So although this is the company upload that I'm aiming for, it has a person-centric approach, which is where I am listing out all of the people here, and all these are the users. These are the contacts that I'm going to be adding into Sage CRM. The next thing to point out to you is that you'll notice that I've got information like the source of where data comes from, or I put in information as to whether this is a customer or not, or but the type of contact it is, and whether or not they're active as well. So their status is in here. So these are fields that inside Sage CRM, they would be selection lists. And what I've done is I've made sure that I'm using the value that is defined in terms of the the caption code, the internal code rather than the translation. So I need to configure my upload to take into account that I'm actually using codes in this upload that are associated with the existing translations within inside CRM. I've also added in information about who the assigned user is and the territory. And literally, I have used the data, the value for the territory. So I've obviously looked inside the database. I've extracted that, and I know that the UK, because this data is destined for the UK, is going to go with that particular caption value. Security territory value. Let's actually start to use this and see what it looks like inside the interface. So I've come now into looking at the process of going into data management again, and here you are, administration, data management, data upload, and I'm going to choose company at this point. There is an existing example for a data upload. This is a set of example matched fields, and we can go and have a look at this. This is just pointing out is that you will need to upload a data file. There will be a need to put a description for this upload, and the same rule applies for the file date format as well as how data is going to be merged together. Now it says here that you've got the option to have max contacts per row, but I would tell you keep it to one. Don't try and be clever by having multiple contacts per row when you're uploading into the company. Stick to one contact per row and duplicate the information for the company. In the case of addresses and things like that, you can have a number of addresses being repeated within the data upload, and that allows you to start to specify the type of address information that is coming in. But again, I'm going to keep this nice and simple. I'm only working with a single company address as we do this. We've got the number of, you can also import notes as well in the row as well, which could be the way in which you load in historic information from a previous system. So as you migrate from another system into Sage CRM, you could bring additional information across. And we also have a question about if you have got multiple addresses being used, does the company address overwrite the person's default address as you bring that in? So this is to do with how addresses are shared inside CRM. You can read more about that inside the documentation. But let's go in and do this merge. Here I am. I'm going into company. I am going to create now my own new upload, and I'm going to choose to upload my Sage 200 information. And here I've got quite a lot of records in there, and I'm going to fill in a little bit more information. So I've put in a description for this, and I'm carrying out the upload. Now notice that I'm also creating a group in here, and I've also indicated that I am using these selection fields are coming and going to be using codes. So that's the important thing about that. So I've chosen OK, and now we can start to match the fields. A lot of the fields have been automatically matched, but there is some ambiguity in here. I just need to finish that off. I'm just going to do one of those really to show you. This is where I'm adding in a phone number, and you'll see that what I'm doing is I'm saying that, yeah, this is a phone number, but very specifically, it's a mobile phone number. So I'm specifying the type of information that field represents, so it can be dropped in, and I can add that. And also I can do the same with city as well. And they've been added into the information. When you're working with something like the address or phone number, you pick the entity in which it's associated. And I've said, although this is for the company, I've taken a person-centric approach. So the information is about the contact. So I associate it with the entity person that is being uploaded, and then the child table associated with that. So it's the person's address and the person's phone number. I can then choose to finish off and do the rest. So I've clicked through on that. If I try and run that again, you can see that I still have to think about deduplication. I haven't put any deduplication rules against any of these fields, so I need to do and add those in the same way that I did for leads for the company and the person. So you can see I've just decided to go in, edit those, and I've added now a contains deduplication rule for both the company name and the person last name. I can start the process for the data upload. I can see here that I've got my preview. In a similar way, I can choose which source, whether I want to mention that, but I did have source included within my upload. I could be, saying I could overwrite that and pass that in, or I can rely on this to pull from the spreadsheet. I'm going to run this now. I'm going to go ahead and do the upload. And so that runs, and you can see that that has run very quickly. And there were a lot of duplicate company information inside the example that I gave. And so you can see that I've got a set of companies and a much greater set of person records that have been added in. And in just the same way as I can go then and look at the groups, I can go and have a look at the group that has just been created. I've clicked into this. This is my new group. And if I drill into, or I go look at one of those records, I'm not going to do it quite from clicking in here because you don't get the full experience. But if I've looked for one of those uploaded records, what you can see is that I've got all of the information about who it's assigned to, the territory that it belongs to. It's all been brought into the target as I wanted it, because I did the necessary preparation to make sure that the upload went smoothly. Now, it is recommended, of course, that and that's what I did at the beginning, which is to create a full backup of Sage CRM database before uploading the new records, just in case I have introduced a level of chaos into my system, which is unwelcome. But here I'm now satisfied with this. I go through the whole checking. You have to go through and review the data and make sure everything is okay. The importance of a backup is for you to be able to actually go back to the starting point if necessary. But we've also seen the importance of the groups so that you could carry out a batch or a bulk operation to be able to correct the data if necessary. We've come to the end of what I wanted to cover in today. We've looked, therefore, at the upload into the lead and the company table. We've got, hopefully, a good understanding about the need to do really quite a lot of preparation before you carry out data upload in order to avoid problems that are avoidable as you carry out the addition of the information. So I hope that was useful. Let's see if anyone has got any questions. Thank you very much, and goodbye.